Iran really is the arm, and Syria the hand, and Lebanon the fingers. They all work in concert and in tandem, one with the other. This is why Iran has been behind this takeover of Lebanon. And it seems to be very fitting that Israel all of a sudden would start talking with Syria. It seems to be that, as Zechariah the prophet had foretold, that everything now is coming into place. And again, we've moved one step closer, I believe, to this fulfillment of this prophecy. Here's what it says. This is the word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundation of the earth, and who forms the spirit of man with him, declares, watch this, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Stop right there. First of all, this by its very nature validates that God is God and the true and living God, because it's Jerusalem and not Tokyo or New York. Now that might sound gnarly at first, but let me explain. Listen, this prophecy we couldn't even be talking about prior to 1948, let alone 1967. Against all odds, never before in the history of man did a nation return as a people, preserving their language to their homeland, as did Israel. This is a prophecy concerning Israel. Israel, the Jews, are God's chosen people. God has a plan for the Jewish people. And this is the prophecy concerning that plan he has for the people. See, once they return to the land, then all the nations surrounding her would attack her to try to remove her from the land that God brought her back to. So he says that I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends the surrounding peoples reeling. What is the most controversial, the most the city that has the most attention focused on her? What are the eyes of the world on today? Obama and Clinton, of course. No, listen. Listen. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It is true that it is. It's kind of like, we have a Republican candidate too, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in. You'd think that is, never mind. Listen, the eyes of the world are on Jerusalem. What are we going to do about Jerusalem? What about the Palestinians? What about a Palestinian state? What about the Palestinians living side by side in peace and security with Israel? This is what Zechariah said some 2,500 years ago. It's being fulfilled today, right before our very eyes. It's going to send the surrounding peoples reeling. Who are the surrounding peoples? Well, in the original language of the Old Testament Hebrew, it gives the idea of the surrounding peoples that are close in proximity to Israel, not just geographically, but also genetically. Am, in the Hebrew, it's the same word in the Arabic language, my native tongue, Ammi, my people. In other words, these are the Arab people. By the way, just so you know, the Arabs and the Jews are sort of fraternal twin brothers. I am probably more Jewish by virtue of my Arab heritage than are some or most or possibly all of you. So there. No. But here's the thing. The surrounding peoples will come against her, and that would be Lebanon. That would be Syria. That would be the Arab people. That would be Iran. Now, Iran, they're not Arabs. They're Persian. They don't speak Arabic. They speak Farsi. But the common denominator is Islam. Islam. Do you know that Islam was birthed, by the way, a false religion, just in case anybody, I need to go on record and say that, and I make no apologies for saying that. Islam is not a peace-loving religion, but it was invented, even manufactured, in a way to bring together the Jews and the Christians in the 600s AD so as to form one religion. And when Judaism and Christianity rejected Islam, Islam turned against Jews and Christians. That was Muhammad's whole goal, if I can say it that way. That's how Islam came about. It's no wonder today that the goal of Islam is to force by submission the whole world to worship Allah and His Prophet Muhammad. You know, when they say, Allahu Akbar, they're not saying God is great. They are saying God is greater. That changes the whole complexion of Islam. Because greater than who? The true and living God? The Most High God? Jehovah God? See, if you just say God is great, it's sort of innocuous. But when you say God is greater, well, then you add a dynamic into that, implying that He is greater than another God. Doesn't that sound a little bit similar to and familiar with where we're told in Ezekiel how that Lucifer was cast out of heaven because he said he would ascend his throne higher, greater? You know, as a kid, I used to play cards with my grandfather, and I would, speak Arabic with him when playing cards. It was sort of a Jordanian version of maybe, I guess, the card game bridge as we would know it in the United States. And he would always beat me. And it got old after a while, but so I quit playing with him. But whenever he would beat me, this is what he would say to me. Ana, I, in Arabic. Ana akhbar. What was he saying? My score was greater, was higher than yours. So when they say Allahu Akbar, which is their call to prayer, they're saying God is greater. Greater than which God? Greater than the God of Israel. Greater than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the surrounding peoples will come against Jerusalem, and it says Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. And verse 3, on that day when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her. Excuse me? Are all the nations of the earth gathered against Israel? You think? Hello? Turn on the news. Log on to the internet. Open the newspaper. It's all about Israel. And all the nations of the earth are hell-bent, quite literally, on destroying Israel. Have no fear. God is here. He says, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock. Ain't going to happen. For all the nations and all who try to move it will injure themselves. You know, at first you think, poor Israel. I mean, the whole world hates her. They hate the Jews. I mean, Hitler is alive and well in the person of Ahmadinejad and others with him.